So hello and welcome back to TNTV, and you're here as always with myself, Tony V, and the amazing and beautiful and very sparkly, glittery Nikki V today. And in the press and media, we're often referred to as the relationship couple. And indeed, we've been the centrefold of, or at least Nikki has once and we have as a couple twice, the centrefold of the Daily Express with different stories about us. And yesterday, there was an article, a centre page spread about the state of relationships in the UK today and what the government are attempting to do about it.
Yes, so we're going to be talking about exactly what they're saying and why we agree with some of it, but not all of it. So yes, I was in the Daily Express because they interviewed me about my time as a single woman and how I was going to find her husband. And actually we now do stuff, especially for single women, called Let Him Find You, so go and find that. But then Tony and I were interviewed again by the Daily Express, and they did a whole thing about how we assist couples, which may be where you are today. You're in a situation where you're going, hold on a minute, this is getting to a point where we know we need help. And that's what was so interesting about what was in the Daily Express, was that just that it said that so many couples leave it too long. I mean, what did it say?
I mean, it's a very interesting article because firstly, look, we've got a Prime Minister, David Cameron right now, who's a real family man, and he talks a lot about family values. And, Tony Blair, he said the same thing. So look, successive governments know the point and the value, the high value to our society of relationships that are connected, loving, caring. Because, why? Because the next generation, the little people out there right now, depend on us having loving relationships. Because if you watch one of our videos a couple of weeks ago, we talked about the effect of breaking down relationships on the next generation. And it's a horrendous, tragic story. I mean, I'll give you one statistic, which is a little bit old, but, it's still very powerful. And that is that we all know Wembley Stadium. It holds sort of 90,000 people. Now this year, that's in the next 12 months, you will be able to fill Wembley Stadium with children under 5 where the mum and dad's relationship is now defunct. That's 80 to 90,000 under 5-year-olds who are going to find themselves with no, relationship to follow from their mum and dad. I mean, it's almost like disgraceful in many ways. And the government are very aware of it. And we call it, some people have sort of described it as a disease. But we actually say, this is a bloody epidemic. This is serious, serious stuff. And one of the best points they made in the paper yesterday is that they are using a now new statistic, the latest one, which is 45% of marriages are failing en masse. So that's like a ridiculous, ridiculous situation. But the help out there, it is there, but it's not been taken up. That was their biggest thing, is it's not taken up until, because if you think of the levels of help, you could either go to your mum. I remember in my first relationship, I went to my mother-in-law because look, I'm struggling here. My whole marriage is breaking down. I've gone to my mother-in-law. Well, that was probably the worst thing you could do, is go to your family and friends, because they know about relationships than you do. In fact, her relationship was a disaster. So why am I going asking her for help? But that's often where we go first, family and friends. The second port of call technically should be to get some professional help. But people, for some reason, are a bit frightened of doing that. But trust me, the third level of help, the place you go where you last want to go, is your lawyer. I cannot believe that we find ourselves in front of a lawyer almost asking for help. I mean, I've had two lots of lawyers in my time about relationship breakdown, and we've worked with lawyers as well.
Yes.
And they all say the same thing. People leave it too long before they ask for help.
Yeah, one family lawyer that we worked with at one point, she said she absolutely estimated that at least a third, if not half of the people that come actually say they don't really want to get divorced. They just don't know what to do. So it's very, very sad. And that's why we are doing our utmost to get ourselves out there to assist people. Because one of the things that the government's doing, which is great, is they're putting some money into some education about relationships. And they've actually created a website called Golden Nuggets or something?
Love Nuggets.
Love Nuggets.
And it's run by a charity, what they call a one-to-one charity. These people have, they're doing a great job. But look, one of the reasons the lawyers said, look, it's okay. It's okay. Is because it's everything we say that doesn't work. It's top tips, yeah?
Yes.
You know, there's no tip that is going to save your relationship. And why is that? The reason tips don't work is honestly, it's obvious when you know it. It's because the relationship challenge that you have is a problem inside of yourself, something you're not understanding. So giving someone a tip, like the number one tip they gave on the front of the article yesterday, was if you were to make your partner a cup of tea every day, then it would indeed, you know, make a difference. It would pull you closer together. But you see how that's what we call doing something that's outside of yourself. It's a bit like, you know, men are renowned when they've been a bit naughty to go and buy a bunch of flowers and give it to their wife. Well, that's not going to work. It's not going to work long time. It might give you a little lift, but it is not getting to what we call the root of the problem.
Absolutely. And so what is at the root of the problem? And as Tony says, the toughie, and we know you may, if you've heard us speak before, you may have heard us say this, exactly these same words, and that is the toughie is that we have to look at ourselves. And one of the things that we have for you, which has taken us probably 11 years to create, is we used to get men or women call us or come to one of our events and say to us, look, Nikki, Tony and Nikki, what's the first thing I can do? Because it's really going to cost me so badly, emotionally and financially, as we said earlier, if we split up. I don't want to split up. I genuinely want to make this work. And we've taken all this time to really give you something that you can use today. And we have right above us on this video something called our emergency support. That's right. And what it is it's actually a written letter. We call it a love letter. But the reason why we call it a love letter is not, before you switch off, it's not some slushy thing saying, look, I love you, but you are doing behaviour I don't like, which is what most people do.
Definitely doesn't work.
Right? It's actually a letter that says, look, I have, and what it will do is it will help you understand what you've been doing that's not been working for your partner. So like one of the love nuggets that they gave on this website is make them a cup of tea or buy them a bunch of flowers. It's nothing like that. It's absolutely, we want to serve you at the very highest level. So what it will tell you is how to talk to your partner, because the biggest thing that people say to us on the phone is we just don't seem to be able to talk about this without arguing or one of us storming out or something like that. So we give you what to say to, and we give you an understanding of how to say it in a way that's right for women and men separately. So there's actually two. There's one that says for women to read and the other one for men to read. And so that will give you in its entirety, first of all, an understanding of what may be the root of the issue, and secondly, what you need to say to each other to get yourself communicating, because that's the biggest problem, is that you need to start to talk so that you can work out what's been going wrong and you can work out what to do about to get it right. So imagine for a moment that just by downloading that emergency support thing, that you could actually move today your relationship from wherever it is right now. And I'm guessing that you wouldn't be watching this video if it wasn't something that you need to do something about, to where you would like it to be, at least to get it to where you're talking and you're getting an understanding of each other more. So we really urge you to do that.
Yeah, and I'm just going to say, look, if you're not sure whether you need it or not, here's a way to check in. Okay, so look, let's just take your relationship right now with your partner and score it on a scale of 0 to 10. 10 is, it's like the best it can be. The best moment you could ever remember together. Just go to that point, and that's your marker point where it's a 10, yeah? And then go, okay, 0 is, this is not working at all. It's a complete disaster. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go.
Pain.
Yeah, and I can see it's not working for them either. Then somewhere, give yourself a score. Now, you need to download the emergency support thing if indeed you have just said a 7 or less. Because here's the thing, you need to stop the rot, as we call it. We made a video called Stop the Rot. It's like woodworm. You know, if you imagine, sorry girls, but look, you go and buy a new house, and one of the first things they do on the survey is to check whether it's got woodworm. Yeah. Now look, if they find woodworm, they force the old owner to get that sorted out before you buy the house. Now, if that got overlooked, There's just a couple of worms. There's just a couple, yeah? And they miss them, yeah?
Are they really worms?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
gosh.
Anyway, they miss them, and in a year's time, you could have an epidemic of woodworms on your hand and you didn't know it. So you have to take action, otherwise the wood all goes crumbly, falls apart, and your whole house has to be resorted out, which is equivalent to getting a divorce, I can
Yeah,
tell you.
and actually your analogy is genius, Tone,
Thanks.
because that's good feminine girl stuff, by the way, girls, is that actually if you don't get this handled, first of all, you know, either divorce could happen or is splitting up with all the emotional cost and all the financial cost of that. But secondly, and even more importantly probably, you're likely to take it into your next relationship, because the statistics, can't get my teeth in, are for second marriages are 75% failure, and for third marriages 85% failure, which is why the woodworm analogy is so genius. It's because you need to get those worms sorted out right now, otherwise they're going to eat away. And having a cup of tea, or, you know, bringing them a cup of tea, or running them a bath, or, you know, getting them a bunch of flowers is not going to get rid of those worms. You've got to dig a bit deeper.
Yeah.
So we're here to help you. You've the question box underneath. It's, if you want to talk to us privately, just email on the email that, you know, only we get those emails, and nothing goes public, and you just let us know how we can assist you.
You know, first of all, let us just say, we understand how difficult it was to put your hand up. It's very, very difficult. I remember really struggling with that. And this week I had a friend of mine who, look, we are his and her friend, and they didn't ask for help. And when she's now decided that she doesn't really want to be with him anymore. They married. We were at their wedding. They have 2 children, 1 5, 1 3. She said to him this week, I don't want to be with you anymore, and he's moved out. And I said to him, look, is there anything we can do to help? And he said no, and I said, why? What you know we can do this stuff, yeah? And he said, no, it's too late. The woodworm is eating away the foundations of their relationship. And I could have slapped him as a man. I could have slapped him around the face and said, look, why didn't you take some action? Because look, you just have to take some action, because he said to me, I believe she hasn't wanted to be with me for the last 5 years. And I'm going, and you've had 2 children? This is irresponsible behaviour of the highest content, because both of those children will be now sitting amongst those 90,000 children in Wembley Stadium, all because they couldn't put their hand up. But look, I do understand and I do respect it's one of the most difficult things. It was definitely for me one of the most difficult things to do. And I remember talking to my lawyer. I had a wonderful woman lawyer, and I'm almost asking her relationship advice. This is not the person to be asking relationship advice of. So you need to put your hand up much, much quicker, and that's why we're here. That's why we do this. You know, our thing was always been to, you know, get the divorce rates down, because it's all possible. It's not as difficult as you think. It really isn't. So putting it off is crazy.
Yeah, and one thing I want to say is that I've had also people who are the person in the relationship who wants to leave. And they've also come to us for help, which has been absolutely brilliant, because we've helped them to realise that they keep going, oh, you know, it's him or her that I don't want to be with. And when we've asked them questions and helped them get clear as to where their behaviour is, what they've been doing, they've suddenly realised that they can have an impact. And actually that very great connection that Tony described at 10 could be theirs again, even with somebody that they think they don't want to be with. So it doesn't matter whether you're whichever side of that gate that we talked about before you're at, we urge you to do something about it now and get some help, because otherwise, you know, the ramifications and the consequences are dire.
Yeah. Now, look, one of our favourite films is a film called Pay It Forward. If you've never watched Pay It Forward, it's got Kevin Spacey in it. I can't remember the girls' names. It is a brilliant film. But there is a point. There is a point in the film where this guy who's like, I hate the labels of, he's living on the street. He's not in a great place. But then he walks across a bridge, and there's a girl standing on the top of the bridge and just about to jump.
Yes.
And somehow that gets me emotional. I've only got to think of the scene, because he, as the, you know, sort of guy living on the street, tries to get her to not kill herself when she's quite clearly got a better life than he has. And he said the inimitable words which always come back to me, which is where we are right now, where he says, help me help you.
Yes.
Yeah? So help us help you. Look, if you're scoring less than an 8, in other words a 7 or down to a 0, just do it now. Press the what do we call it? The emergency support button above us, and at least read the document and get in touch with us now before you become a statistic. And if you've got young children, then you are going to be responsible if you take no action for them being with all the other kids in Wembley Stadium. So I know we can be a bit harsh with people, but look, we come from a place of love. We know that we can help you solve this problem. So it's up to you to press the buttons and take the action.
Yes, let us help you.
Yeah. So anyway, that's it. Bit of a harsh lesson this week, but you know, hey, sometimes you have to go there. You have to go there. I know I could have done with a good slap in the past about this, because I saw it like worse than going to the dentist, when actually it's a lot less painful than going to the dentist.
Yeah, I wish somebody had been honest with me.
Yes.
Yeah, because everybody just said to me, "Oh yeah, he's hopeless. Get somebody different."
Yeah.
You know, I wish somebody had given me a bit of a slap about that.
Yeah, indeed. So until next week, from me, Tony V, and Nikki V, from our hearts, we are here to help you. So get pressing those buttons and take some action. So bye for now.
Bye bye.